the video, we're going to take a look at Adidas's Supernova Rise 2. It has a supercritical PIBA blend foam. It loses a lot of weight compared to version 1. It has an elaborate underfoot carriage, if you will, with support rods, which are a hardened EVA. The upper changes to a simple engineered mesh from the prior knit upper, and I think is a big improvement. It's $140. It's available now.
Hi everybody, Sam from Road Trail Run. We're out here on the porch and it's snowy and cold. We're going to take a look at the Adidas Supernova Rise 2 today. It's a daily trainer from Adidas. It's $140. It has a supercritical PIBA type foam midsole. It's version 2 of the shoe, and we're going to compare it closely in an A/B run to version 1. And even though the platform and stack height at 35.5, 25.5 remains the same, the upper and the ride have changed quite significantly. And Adidas has been on a roll this year. So we're also going to talk a little bit about a couple of their other shoes you might put in the daily category of daily trainers. The Supernova Prima, which is a very similar construction with more stack height and a different kind of outsole than our Supernova Rise, and one of my all-time favorites of 2024, the Adizero SL2. But first, let's talk a bit about our Rise 2 before I take them out on the run. AB with version 1. So it does have a supercritical PIBA type midsole here. And what's interesting and what I noticed and what I'll comment on the run, new version, and clearly depressing, and I'll give you a bit of a demo of that, is a bit softer. I don't know if you can see that, but a bit softer, a bit more reactive. So I think they've changed the formula there. The uppers also have changed quite significantly. And we'll comment that on the AB run. Here we had a knit kind of upper, quite thick, a little bit suffocating. Here it's a much lighter mesh. Overall, the fit is much smoother. And what this does is it, primarily upper, brings the weight way down. We come down a whole ounce, 28 grams, to 9.17 ounces, 260 grams in the US 8.5 sample. So that's really significant. A bit more about the underfoot platform here. What Adidas, it's quite complex actually. If we flip it over, the blue here coming through are what they call support rods. So what this shoe has is some inherent stability right at the ground. So while it's a neutral shoe, and there's the solution, which I didn't particularly care for much, this shoe is quite stable, and I'm a neutral kind of guy, but it really is a very stable shoe as a result. But it's not just the rods. Look at all this rubber at the rear, durable. Maybe it could be a bit better decoupled, but I can tell you with the new foam, it flows much better than version 1, which was really quite rigid through here. It is a flexible shoe, and that's partially due to the 25.5 stack height up front, which these days is a bit thin. Now, if you want to go a bit more cushioning in an Adidas daily trainer, you step up to the Prima here. While our Rise is $140, the Prima is $170. Oh, pardon the trucks going by. $170. The same Dream Strike Plus foam, but underfoot we have a different kind of outsole construction. You can see here this is a rubberized foam instead of what we had here, very kind of stiff, if you will, firm Adiwear, which we also had up front. Here we have a softer outsole. I think it's still quite durable. You can see I don't have too much wear yet. And then up front we have more of a crystal kind of rubber. It's a little less flexible. The upper is a little thicker and kind of more plush. This was one of my favorites of the year as well. So a bit more shoe. Maybe I prefer it. Now, and then one more we can talk about before we go out for our run. The Adizero SL2. This one has Light Strike 2 foam, a little firmer maybe than what we have in the Rise, and a core of Light Strike Pro, somewhat higher heel height at 40. I think it's a 9mm drop. We have some a good full coverage outsole. Upper, as you can see, if we compare a little bit here, if I can show you, upper is a little thinner, which helps with the weight. It's about a full ounce lighter than our Rise, but not quite as supportive. Neither of them has a gusset tongue. We don't have a gusset tongue here. Back to our Rise number 1 in terms of the upper. One thing I noticed right away is the heel hold and fit. Much more comfortable here. This was a bit rough. Both of them have a rigid heel counter. My sense is what they did here is they lowered it a little bit maybe. And the padding here is equal, but I think maybe the angle, is a bit more swept back here. This is a more comfortable rear of the shoe. And if we go to the front of the shoe, the toe box, in number 1 here, we have this really quite stretchy knit, a bit sloppy in comparison to this very smooth fit here. So in other brands, shoes you might compare this to with higher drop, because we're 10 here, is say the Pegasus Plus from Nike. Also is considerably lighter, although this shoe is really quite light. The Pegasus Plus with Zoom X, kind of a little racier approach to the same thing. This is a steady, reliable daily trainer. You won't get in trouble. If you need a teeny touch of stability to help you there, if you're neutral, it'll get you through just about all your miles. Not your speedier stuff, where you might want to go, of course, to something like this or the Boston from Adidas. But it's just a reliable shoe, and it's really a significant improvement over what, along with the Prima here, over what we've had from Adidas and daily trainers. So let's take them out for a run on the seacoast of New Hampshire, and I'll give you impressions of fit and ride and some more babble about comparisons. To give you a sense for fit and ride, comparing Supernova Rise 1 on the right to the number 2 on the left. You can see right away we have this stretch knit upper here. It's heavier, it's denser. One thing I'm for sure noticing, and Adidas calls it out, is there's a change to the heel counter and the heel hold. Much more comfortable here in the 2. It's kind of a little bit sharp in the 1. Toe box volumes are similar, maybe a bit more stretch in the 1, but here much better hold. Tongues, again similar, but I think the new lacing system just a little bit more secure. What holds the foot here, because there's no gusset, are the 3 stripes. I'm going to give you a sense for what they feel like. They're fairly thick, but they're pliable. Here's our mesh. Not particularly stretchy, a teeny bit maybe, but over here we definitely have a stretch knit. I much prefer the new approach here. Simple, effective. This is a $140 shoe, so I don't think in many cases you really need fancy engineered mesh if you pick the right material and then the right hold overall, which we have here. So I'll give you a few impressions from the ride. There are definite differences between these two. Even though the stack height is the same, the weight here on our number 2 is 28 grams lighter. And in part, I think that's the upper, but I think also the midsole. So my beef with V1 was a really kind of rigid lateral heel feel. Kind of slappy, overly rigid, not very well decoupled. Well, that's resolved here. And I think that's because our light strike foam in V2 is slightly softer, slightly less dense. So I'm not feeling that over rigid heel. We still have a lot of stability, although inherent, and really right at the ground from the support rods. which are hardened EVA. Here's a picture of those. And I'm finding easier flex, and that also was seen in hand when I flex them. That could be a combination of the foam and this lighter upper. So I've got a little quicker, snappier toe off. We do have a 10 millimeter drop, 35 millimeter heel. So plenty of heel cushion of the stable variety, but 25 at the front is fairly thin. But I'm finding this softer foam, which reacts really nicely, mitigates any issues with it feeling too thin. But nowadays, many of our shoes are, 30 plus millimeters at the forefoot, a lot of the more max shoes. So this is a more traditional high drop ride, 35, 25. A really nice alternative. You want kind of an all-around daily trainer with some spark, but a more serious side in the sense that it's nicely stable right at the ground. No gimmicks, no high side walls or any of that. Well, we're at the harbor. Coming out to the mouth of the harbor, just a beautiful, beautiful, cooler day here. It's cold, but it's sunny, so things stay warm. So a few more comments, a bit more on the fit. Well, maybe those with super wide feet or wider feet will like the knit better. The hold is clearly superior in the new version and much, much smoother overall. I sense some vertical bagginess in number one. My toes may be pushing up on the knit. None of that here. And the two will be available in wide as well. In terms of the ride, a bit further in, definitely version 2 has a smoother lay down from the heel, smoother roll, even though on the surface there are no changes to the outsole. I think that midsole change and the lighter weight, because we're 28 grams lighter, that's felt as well. Much just kind of a smoother experience, despite on the surface few changes. That's why I like to do these AB runs.
If you're looking for a durable, reasonably priced daily road training shoe with supercritical foam and an inherently stable platform, the Supernova Rise 2 is a great new option. It's much lighter, 28 grams lighter, and has a smooth-fitting new upper that is a big improvement for me over V1, as is its ride. I recommend it for those seeking a single shoe rotation. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great run.